your Friday nights, giving up your Friday night. Very grateful to you. So it's a one-item agenda, and of course, last time we were talking about Dolman Road, weren't we? At the last meeting. Last time it was more of a general agenda. Tonight we're talking about one particular thing. So for the room, I'm Jennifer Gray. So I'm actually the political assistant for the Lib Dem group. So I work with lots of different wards, but as I just said a minute ago, Aston's my favourite, and it genuinely is because it's got character and interesting people and all of that sort of stuff. So it's always a pleasure to come. So obviously you know Councillor Mumtaz Hussain as well, which is great. We've got Pat White joining us tonight, so thank you, Pat, for giving up your Friday night too. That's much appreciated. And special guest tonight, aren't you, Imran? So Imran Khan is our special guest tonight. He's an engineer, and you've done that job for a long time, right?
Yes.
And you've worked in Aston before, 2007.
Yeah. And a number of years ago, I looked after Ladywood district back then, and I covered a number of wards, and Aston being one of them. So looked after this area, but I moved over to the east area after that, covering the east side, obviously. Now we've had a reshuffle in our service due to the sort of financial situation the council's in. We've had to downsize our team. So we used to have 3 areas in the city, now we have 2. So I actually fall in the north area as opposed to the south. But I'm on the southern part of the north area of that belt across the northern half of the city. So Aston being obviously one of the wards.
So we've been really grateful to have Imran around. We've already been out on the streets of Aston to have a look at a few different areas, and he's met various people in the area, been to the schools and things like that, which has been really good. So yeah, we're really grateful to have him here. And the reason for this meeting, there's a bit of money, a little bit of money.
Yeah.
So it basically every ward in the city, if it's a single member ward, it has £20,000 in a year. If it's a double member, and of course Aston's a double member, it gets 40,000. Now we've already had a chat. That does not go very far at all. And so and that's over 2 years. So we've got 80,000 over 2 years. But I found out that, let's say, a Pelican crossing, quote me if I'm wrong, could cost 80 grand. So one crossing, so that's how, there are obviously other ways to spend the money. There are other things that perhaps more cost effective, etc. But we're not, I think if we were to deliver the wish list for Aston, it would be millions and millions, so it's about putting this money in the most sensible place and spending it wisely and correctly. And that's when, talking to people in the community about what's important is a sensible next step. So there's already quite a wish list that's in there of things, and so I think we're here to talk to you about perhaps some of the ideas that have been brought up already, and again you can talk about some of the ideas you've got. So Imran, how's the best way to do this? Do we start with the community, do you think, and then raising their issues, or do you start with where we think the challenges are?
I mean, the fund that I'm here to talk about is the Environment Neighbourhood Transport Fund. So essentially, Environment Transport and Neighbourhood Fund, sorry. Essentially, what that is a pot of money, which isn't a lot in this big scheme of things, as you know, it doesn't necessarily go that far. It sounds like a lot of money, but it's not. We can spend millions and millions of pounds on this stuff.
Yeah.
We'd like to see that bit. But we've got this small amount of money to try and uplift the area, and the criteria for these healthy, safer streets is in line with the Healthy Safer Streets initiative. And what we're trying to do is part of this budget is trying to uplift areas by making them more appealable to and encourage active travel, so that pedestrians, cyclists, and part of the criteria as well for these schemes is that we look at trying to see a reduction in road harm, safety. So we want to see improvements in terms of safety as well, and also obviously lowering the carbon footprint that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the 3 sort of main elements that we're trying to sort of align our schemes with, and there's lots of things that we can do for that. We can have footway protection measures, we can have traffic calming schemes such as speed cushions and chicanes, we can have manipulate flow of traffic in terms of one ways, tidal flows, these sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of things that we can do. but we do have to sort of focus on specific areas as opposed to really kind of doing bits and pieces all around the ward. Because I think what we want to try and do is use this as an opportunity to see a benefit. I think if we try and do something that's sort of all over the wall, like bollards, let's say, or something like that, it kind of waters down what we're trying to achieve. We want to see some benefit in this. And I think we want to do something quite good you know, area.
Can I just ask, Imran, in terms of you've just given us a list of things that we could do and is acceptable with the fund.
Yeah.
What is not say for argument's sake, if you want more parking because that's a big issue. Could the money be spent on making extra parking places? I mean, what can the money what can you not use the money for?
They're pretty much exactly that. You summed it up there. What we're trying to do is, as I said, uplift the areas. And generally, when you take away, when you want to try and increase parking spaces, you're taking away some form of space. Most likely, that's going to be green space, a space that's not really being used. We want to try and increase those areas. Plant trees. Reclaim those sort of green spaces by protecting them by putting some double curbing down or trip rail or something along those lines to preserve those green spaces and uplift the area because they're quite valuable, and I don't think people really appreciate that because we're stuck in our ways of going around the city to do their day-to-day tasks. We don't really appreciate how much the environment has an impact on our health and general well-being. So that's something that we're trying to improve. I mean, people will laugh and snigger, but at the end of the day, this is something that we need to try and focus on and spend more time on doing. It's something that I think is important.
Okay, so should we start by seeing what people think about the area and junctions and perhaps issues, that sort of thing? Does that sound sensible? And actually, so at our last board meeting, you were talking about Dolman, and so perhaps it's a good idea to start there. He's already had a look online as well, so he knows the area. But yeah, tell us what it's like for you.
So the problem we had with Dolman Road was one, it's a very tight road. So you've got school time, especially. You've got vehicles parked on the curbside. Vehicles parked on the curbside with the lines. Then you've got vehicles coming down, and that road is a bit of a weird kind of road because the top is coming down like a curve.
Depends, yeah.
And so you can't really see what's going on now. I've seen vehicles come down speeding. I've seen vehicles go up speeding. But what happens is, as two vehicles get closer, realize that one's got to go back. So what happens is, one doesn't want to move, the other one doesn't want to move, and you've got backlog of cars leading onto from Frederick Road coming onto there. So the main concern was literally the children when they come out of school. Cars up and down, cars are blocking the entrance.
People the horn.
Very big hazard. I mean, I remember a few weeks ago I was standing there and I seen a car coming in speed. I was like, somebody's going to get killed.
Yeah.
That's why I was talking about it.
We have engaged with the school, haven't we?
Yeah, we've been to school.
I've seen the sort of video footage the head teacher has shared with me, and I can see the issues that are present on Dolman Road and the sort of issues it's causing in the mornings and the afternoons in terms of AM/PM peaks. And one of the things that was suggested was having a one-way system. And that's something that we can do as part of this because it's removing congestion. So if we keep the traffic flowing, improving the environment from that point of view, we're not having standstill traffic, cars tubing, they're exhausted.
Oh, I think one would be a good idea.
Yeah.
But then there's going to be a problem. The problem is, at the moment, cars are parking on the curbside. I don't know, did you manage to see those trees in the corner?
Yeah.
Yeah, so cars are parking there. So if you've got a one-way, it's going to be a problem because you've got cars coming down Frederick, cars coming from Eddington to Frederick. I think it's going to cause a problem. I think if they're going to make that into one-way, then that part of Frederick Road should be one-way as well.
Well,
that way the traffic.
I was just going to lead on to say, it's generally when we alter the traffic flow on a road, it tends to have, as you quite rightly pointed out, an impact on the surrounding roads. So we'd have to look at doing some form of wider scheme to create a system whereby the traffic can flow.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of the things with traffic regulation orders is that this is a movement restriction that's been put in place. Council don't have any enforcement powers for you know for movement restrictions. It's actually the police. So whilst we can implement the traffic regulation order for, to determine the flow of traffic, police that actually have the powers to enforce. So that's something to bear in mind. And also, whenever we're doing schemes such as this, we part of the formal process of the consultation. We have to make sure that we get a lot of the residents on board, because if they don't want it, then really we're going to have a tough job trying to get this pushed through. So we do need the vast majority of them signing up to it. So we probably do develop a proposal, present it to the councillor and Jennifer, and then you both can digest it, and then you know, touch base with the school as well, to get their views, and then I think then there we would probably carry out an informal consultation once we felt that those proposals were appropriate and they'd work. And then that would be an informal consultation with all the frontages that are affected in and around those roads that we were proposing to change. Right, so that's the way we do it. Yeah, yeah.
I think you will work well.
I think so.
The way the roads there, if you made that first road on the road,
Yeah.
you just smoothly let traffic go on and have it
Yeah.
the other. Because the problem you're going to have is on the junction of Aston, because that is, you've got a little way to get through.
Yeah.
But if the road's one way, then it's easily cars can go down or go left.
The problem that I tend to find when I'm doing one-way systems is that residents can't always agree on which way they want the traffic to flow. Do you know what I mean? So half of them might want it in one direction, and half of them might want it in the
I
other.
think here you'll be okay. I think because everyone, it's automatic. It's like a slight downhill. So I think it's easier for people. I don't think the residents probably on themselves that it's easier to go down because at the junction of Whitehead and Frederick, you've got trees on the left.
Yes.
So literally you can only get through one car at a time. So I don't see why the residents would want to go up rather than going down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's something that I'll look at. I generally have through a number of years that I've worked, doing what I'm doing, I have a general idea of as to how it could work. And I've delivered a number of one-way schemes. So I think, I've had a 100% success rate in terms of getting them out. So, but I don't want to jinx myself.
Yeah, no, that sounds positive.
Yeah.
Thank you. What might be so perhaps if we just we'll come to this in a minute as well, but in terms of timescales then, so these again, do correct me if I'm wrong. So all the plans being collated now and then will be reviewed and sort of this work will be looked at from sort of March onwards. So it won't happen in March. It will be planned in March.
Yeah.
So, and then most likely take place during 2025. Is that right?
Well, yeah, more than likely, that's correct. Yeah. At this point in time, I need to get all these scheme outline reports in by March, and I need to have some form of plan to demonstrate what it is that we're proposing to do in the wards, and that will then commit the funding for your ward. Once I've got that, then we'll move forward with the internal process. There's a lot of back office paperwork to be done, and I'll have to go through the full business case at THB, which is the Technical Highways Board, get the funding approved, and once that budget's been approved, then I'm able to proceed with the traffic regulation order and the consultation process that's part of that.
So in terms of the plan, we have something in principle so we can show it to the residents before March, or is that going to commence after March?
You will have something, um, by hopefully middle of January.
Okay.
And I want to be able to do informal consultation
Yeah.
before
Okay.
March. I want to get the report in, and I think I'm happy with these as proposals being, because of the criteria that we have for the ETNF.
Mm.
It's quite specific. It's more constrained than the ward minor measures. If we had the ward minor measures program, then we could do anything you wanted to within reason. But this is a bit more in line with the healthy, safer streets principles. And as I said, I think these are all part of that. We can get proposals through, I think. Once we've got their approval to go ahead, as I said, TROs, it can take up to 5 to 9 months to go through that consultation.
TROs?
Traffic regulation orders, sorry. In essence, that's what makes the works that we're doing enforceable. So it's just a legal document that's sealed, and thereafter the police have the powers to carry enforcement off of that order.
With something like that, and sorry, we will come to, we'll finish on this point soon and come to the others too. And with something like that, I guess it seems logical in a way that that sort of thing would be put in at the beginning of the 6 weeks holiday in, ideally, because then there's a bit of a period of time for people to get used to it before the craziness of school starts again.
Yeah,
is that a bit unrealistic?
That, in terms of time frame, yes,
it is. Yeah,
because we're I want to get approval before March. Really, for the scheme ballot proposal. That's my intention, and then that's our deadline. We don't really want to work to that deadline. We want to do things as fast as we can.
Yes.
Step ahead of that, because we fortunately we started this quite late, as I mentioned to you before. We should have been in this position sort of just after April, really, but we are where we are with all the pressures that the council's going through, and everybody having to panic and get things put in place to serve their own services. With the Section 114 notice, everything was just made on the back burner. Now that we're able to sort of move forward with this for a very short time, essentially we've lost about 8 to 10 months.
Yeah.
Time really where we should be. Like that. So, yeah, we're going to try our best to sort of get these. But there's this site here, Frederick Road, Whitehead Road, Dolman Road, and possibly Albert Road as well. And there's also, as you mentioned,
Across here.
So we're looking at that site as well. So I want to try and get the money for this year committed and next year's committed all in one go. So I can do one report as opposed to do 2 reports, one for this year, one for next financial year. Because I said we're already almost at the end of this year, pretty much. I want to basically just streamline our workload, get one report, and then the works will stagger themselves throughout the year.
Okay. So, any other junctions or bits, road, etc., that anyone else would like to bring up?
I'd like to bring up Mansfield Road. Is that okay? Mansfield Road?
Yeah.
So basically, Mansfield Road is like you said, it's a corridor from the A38 where they're coming in and they're speeding on Mansfield Road. We've had a near fatality there a few years back where a child had got knocked over and been paralysed. So if you could have some kind of speed bumps there. So we've got Mansfield Road, Bragg Road, similar situation where they're speeding up and down.
What I will say is it all comes down to funding, Councillor. Proposals that we're looking to do for Canterbury School and Talbot School probably absorb at least, I'd say, 3/4 of the money that you have available. A traffic calming scheme for Mansfield Road, because it's a decent sized lane, will probably absorb around about £20,000. I don't know if the
Is there no such thing as the other wards where they don't need the money, they can hand it down to us?
That's what some of the other councillors are hoping for, but no.
No, it's not something that we can do.
If the other wards don't spend up all of their monies and they have some left over, it goes back into the pot. And then it gets, I don't know.
Aston's very
it just
needy.
disappears.
I've got a question about that. Saying it's going to cost £20,000 for a traffic calming measures.
Yeah, so I
Now,
think-
if that kind of money, you'd expect it to be perfect. How can they only last couple of years?
when you say last, what
What do you mean?
The actual materials.
materials, it's down to obviously
Somebody's got eating a lot of money there because with £20,000, I expect that at least to last 20 years at least, you know.
It's also the volume of traffic that's
Yeah.
materials different, it's the volume of traffic.
No,
And the types of vehicles that we're talking about surfacing, that could depend on the volume of traffic.
No, I think at the same time, if you look at the lots of potholes now, they are getting temporary filled.
If they are filled,
Yeah, but they don't last very long. And I bet you, if you ask them a quotation for the policy, a couple of hours, on that. You know, so some of these, I don't know, somebody's filling the numbers, somebody needs a lot of money somewhere.
I can't comment on finance side of it, but what I will say.
No, but I think you guys should tell them that, look, you know, if you're spending this much money, look, at the end of the day, you can't put cost on a life.
No, you're right.
You know, but, so somebody needs to bang their heads together and say, listen, you know, you spend that much money, why aren't we getting good quality work?
I think it's whenever our schemes are delivered, they're delivered by approved contractors, and they're on our framework. You know, so they all do, they all carry out works to set, you know, Birmingham City Council standard details. Everything's done in terms of construction to do the details, standard details that we have.
Mhm.
You know, in terms of the material choice, that's something that's standardised as well. You know, through the contract, they have to use specific materials. You know, to lay the road surfacing down, the binder down, and the sub base down. So generally, whenever we install traffic calming features on a road, they generally hold out quite well. You know, as Pat just pointed out, it depends on the volume of traffic. And what you tend to see is that whenever we install speed pushers on roads, for example, you tend to find people actually don't want to go down that road anymore because it slows them down. And if they continue at that speed, it will potentially damage their car as a consequence of them speeding. So they tend to speed over them initially. There's always a bit of a, you know, a sort of an early stage when they try the road, and you'll see scuff marks in the middle where the sump, where at the bottom of the engine bay hits the top of the cushion, and obviously that's damaging their car. But if they drove at the appropriate speed, that wouldn't have happened. So, you know, it's one of those things. So it's driver behaviour, and you know, something that I said in terms of them failing is what you're saying, and they get potholes. That's to do with the weather. There's various conditions, you know, factors.
It's just not just the failing part, it's like saying that you mentioned, we've only got this much money, and we've got to choose one thing or the other. It's not unfair because, like, we've got lives at risk here. Why are we in a situation where we have to choose one or the other?
A lot of these areas are in the same scenario. That what it boils down to is members of the public not observing the road layout and also adhering to the speed limits. It shouldn't be, fingers shouldn't be pointed at the council for not having the finances. Fingers should really be pointed at the root of the problem, at the people, you know, not adhering to the road layout and the law.
If that's the case, then yeah, okay, the root of the problem is education. Again, coming back to the council, that you're lacking funding in education as well.
I think one of the problems I is just, I guess a lot of the houses are built when the cars weren't even a thing,
Yeah, of course.
and
Oh,
so
yeah.
they're not designed with cars in mind, and there's such a lot of cars around here. I think that's if you could probably halve the cars, it would be safer.
I think we obviously the cars, it's going to get worse and worse, right? You expect the council to even understand that. Look, there's gonna be more cars, there'll be more accidents, obviously there's gonna be fatalities. Where there's cars, there's gonna be fatalities. But how do you prevent that? I think, but if the council say, look, you've already got this much money, and you choose this or you choose that, it's like saying, okay, we'll save lives here, but we won't save lives there. Can't we?
I think we can understand, like, you know, that, especially, I mean, you know, Mumtaz lives here, I live here, councillors, they live and breathe it and see it, and can understand your frustration.
Yeah.
And we can feed that back as well, actually, but we, alas, we can't change the pot. You know, that's what we've got right now. But you know, behind the scenes, Mumtaz has, you know, it's just here, you know, can we have someone else, some money from someone else's ward?
What we
And
could do is give us a few options, right? So this is the cost of each thing. Maybe the community should decide which one's best. Because if it's £20,000 just on one thing, and you know, by having, for example, speed humps on few roads, speed humps probably work better for the community.
That's what we're doing
Yeah,
now.
we're doing now.
I'm going to develop a plan
Mm.
and give a bit more of an idea as to what that's going to cost. Feed that back to the councillor and Jennifer. They'll digest it, and then they're happy with it. As I said before, they'll feed that to the residents in the ward forum, and that's how it works. That's all the councillors do.
so I think
You know,
we're
they engage with the
working on timings, that probably be around March-ish next year.
Mhm.
You know, as soon as possible, bring that back, hopefully in this very room as well, and you can come back and hear about that.
In terms of you know, speed bumps, it uses most of the money. We need to discuss Prince Albert, Canterbury, say for argument's sake, Canterbury cost doesn't go through, and there's still that money available. Can we have other?
I mean, yeah. I think I am just mindful of the constraints that I'm working to, because I want to put something on the table. When I say put something on the table, put something in the report that's going to be really kind of almost a pretty robust proposal for the funding that we've got. And I don't really want to be sort of going back and forth, because that means of changing things. The goalposts move, you know, and I'm kind of, there's only 4 engineers in the city, 2 in the north, 2 in the south, and I don't really have the luxury of time, unfortunately. And we need to be quite focused on what we're doing and what we're proposing in terms of schemes that we discussed. I think they're very good schemes, and I think they're in line with ETNF proposal, the sort of criteria that we have to work with. And I don't want to risk doing something else and dropping something that's quite good. And it's going to benefit the board. You know, and put something else in that's sort of like, you know, a little bit, let's just say scattered, let's say. And I don't think the residents are really going to notice that. I think if you do little bits and pieces here and there.
You think we should spread ourselves thinly?
I personally don't think, because I don't think you know, this is an opportunity, as I said. You know, previous wood minor measures, you only got £20,000 for a year, and you know, this is actually double that. So I think this is an opportunity to do something meaningful with that money. It's going to cost a little bit more, but let's focus on a couple of areas or a few areas, and let's do something that's going to really improve the area, not just for, you know, motorists, I mean, members of the public, in terms of cyclists, pedestrians, but the residents that are living there, and also motorists as well, all in one, because we're improving the flow of traffic on these residential roads outside schools. You know, a lot of these schools have actually got some robust measures in there already. You've got, you know, vertical traffic calming measures along Whitehead Road, you know, so there's quite a few things that are in place already. We're creating a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit zone outside the school. You know, that just further reinforces, you know, the sort of message of reduced speeds.
And the head teacher was saying that they are educating the parents, they are getting the message out to the parents about walking to school and not bringing the car. Do you remember the head teacher? I think before Jennifer came to.
I think we should probably give you. So you've been very patient, guys. So yes, would you like to come in?
I'm going to be cynical and I'm going to be practical. Yeah, the money's not very great. I'm going to go on the facts that basically that yes, the city council's broke, but it's mismanagement over the decades and years over finances in the area, and it should have been allocated for us over generations of not getting hardly anything. And look at the state of the roads right now. Is there any ways of finding any information of the previous finances of the roads in Aston, going back in history? Because the state of the roads in Aston is appalling. I mean, it's really appalling. It hasn't been looked after for decades. And the only roads I've seen maintained over the years is Trinity Road. Why Trinity Road gets the special treatment over the years of resurfacing the roads and whatnot. So again, it goes on mismanagement of finances in the area. And I'm going to make political right now with the roundabout. Why did you spend so much money? It might be coming from the European Fund on a roundabout that's obsolete in front of Tesco's. It's just goes on the minds of we need to have some type of scheduling. When we do have money in the area, it can be purposely channeled. But again, I'm going to go on the questions of can we have a listings on spending of money in the area for road maintenance in the area, please.
I think we can ask some written questions around what has been spent over the last five years. Say, yeah. We can ask that and see what that gives me. What is it you'd like to achieve from that information?
I would like to me, it's no use of having specific roads looking after. I want to see the whole of Aston.
Yeah.
Because I have to move around this area. It's no use of having just one road. It's a whole area. But again, I know that basically City Council is £1 billion in debt. Where is the highway? Where is my MOT? What is the road tax? Where is that going to? So it's multiple monies that's going in the pot, but it's not going. We're not having the fair share in a way.
I think so. This pot of money, in fairness, seems to be very. It's not much, but it's single member ward, 20 grand. So for every member, basically, it's 20 grand. So that's the same whether you're here, whether you're in Coalfield. I mean, what you could say is,
It's not enough.
I would sympathise with that argument. You could say in a city, more traffic, it needs more money, and you know, I would sympathise with that opinion. But we are where we are with the money at the moment, and Mumtaz continues to fight for you, I guess, where she can. But we can ask the question about how much has been spent, within the ward and see. That'd be interesting to know. Yeah, I'll make a note of that.
Thank you.
That's something that our maintenance contracts obviously. It's not just. I mean, in self-defence of Birmingham City Council, I'll comment on the management of finances because I'm not at that level in terms of management. That's a question that you need to be asking further up the chain, or we can be asked further up the chain.
But those are the ones that make the decision. I know you're the one that doesn't make the decisions. It's the higher up that makes the decisions, and they're the ones that don't go in these types of areas.
Yeah.
See, so basically, again, the money gets channeled somewhere else, or we did spend the money, or they don't even bother showing up looking at the roads.
Yeah, I mean, what I will say is that I'm specifically here to talk about the internet. Take on board your comments and questions, so we can get some answers to them. But in terms of my remit, I unfortunately can't.
No, I'm not. If I'm having a hard time, I'm not having to go at you.
I
Sorry about that.
I sympathise with you, and what I will say is that the local authorities are going through the same thing. Solihull.
But they're not £1 billion in debt, no. And it might take 10 years for it to clear.
But they'll all seem to be serving Section 114 notices in the near future, or will be in the years. So a lot of the funding that Birmingham City Council and other local authorities are getting from central government are being reduced and they're being targeted. I don't know how that side of the finances is being managed centrally. Obviously, that's above and beyond, what we do in terms of our roles. But as I said, we're specifically here to talk about the questions could be centered around.
But it's not enough.
No. Point noted for sure. Any other junctions or bits of road that, yeah.
I mean, some of the comments that Raymond has made has been historic, and just to kind of put it in context, talk about the roundabout and Tesco, that roundabout with Tesco's the store. Nothing to do with Birmingham City Council per se.
I knew it was.
What there would have been some sort of agreement about that issue. If you look back in terms of historically around the Whitney Road, once there's been some funding put in street lighting or festive lights, that's no longer, that's gone. And it was a 5-year commitment or whatever year commitment, so that's gone. To come back to the point why Imran's here to ask for some of your ideas and suggestions and mention Dolman, Eckington, Albert, I would also say bear in mind other parts of Aston, like South Aston, up the sort of street, there's no speed cushions. So it's about, again, connecting with those residents and connecting with that. You mentioned Mansfield, that's a lot. There are a number of schools, we've got this 3 months or restriction in terms of miles per hour, 20 miles per hour. But I was just thinking, even with up the sort of street from Park Lane to come up to Victoria Road, the lighting, signals, etc. Similarly, so there was an issue on signal operations on Trinity Road as it. So just to say to bear in mind that it's not just the inner parts of Aston, you should also be thinking also looking at how it connects from from Gazelles down the Whitney Road and Stockholm and coming. So it's not just condensed in. Not everyone's going to see that, or not everyone in terms of motorists not noticing that.
Yeah.
But it's, you want them to notice and also reduce their speed. Think about. But also talking to your neighbouring wards. For example, I don't know, and Imran and I have met with the respective councillor. There may be something where both wards have a benefit, but that's not a conversation there. Irrespective of what political party, but if it has a benefit, people that are crossing through, then that should also be considered.
I think in terms of Aston Street and Park Lane, there is an issue with because after Park Lane, the other ward is Newtown ward, and that's a different councillor. We have an issue with the cross junction there. There's been quite a few accidents there. I did do a petition a while back about it, and it didn't come to anything. And in terms of having speed cushions on Aston Street, I'm sure that road is used by the police, and plus with on school days, in the morning and the afternoon, there's a lollipop lady there to control the
Yeah, and I don't take that away from the council, but what I was trying to say just to think of areas such as that, because when it comes to the rush hour,
Yeah.
at 4 o'clock, that particular part of Aston becomes a speedway, because people are trying to get on, cut out certain parts, avoid Junction 6 and come through some of the residential areas just to jump speed, so it's just to look at how we can.
I spoke to Aston Tower came to the council house, spoke to head teacher there. Canterbury Cross and Prince Albert seems to be like in more dire situation than Aston Tower. Prince Albert is terrible compared to Aston Tower. In terms of the traffic flow, it's controlled by a lollipop. I live on Brooklyn Avenue, and I see my children went to Aston Tower School. So I think in terms of weighing out, I think if anything, Prince Albert School is in more need.
And that's fine. I'm not disagreeing with that. But there were residents here from that part of Aston. They were probably quite
I live on I live on that part. I live on Brooklyn Avenue next to the tower. My children went to Aston Tower School. Um, and when you look at it, you can actually tell that Prince Albert School is in more need of
Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't disagree.
fix, you know what I mean?
Dolman Road, I know that.
In terms of other roads, I was speaking. We was on a conversation with you just before I came here, and we were talking about other roads. Do you remember you were saying about the corridors, A38, where there's a lot of speeding?
Yeah,
We've got Bragg
yeah.
Road. We've got um, what other road was it? I've got a Serpentine Road as well. There's cushions there that could be repaired as well. I think they've sort of like shrunk a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Subsided. Okay.
Although if it's repairs, would that be slightly different budget?
Yeah, well, if there's you know, there is any defect, then we can certainly ask Kia to pick that up
Mhm.
and put that right. And they will be doing that, and it wouldn't come out of this budget for the ETA. These are new highway assets, if you like. We're looking to do new but for existing measures, you know, if there is any defects, I'll flag that up with highway steward for Kia.
I don't know whether this is in your remit or not, but you know the triangle where we have Arden Road, Crenton Road. I know one of the roads there is one way, and a while back we had an issue where we were giving out leaflets, and then we had two gentlemen come, and one was saying we want it one way, and the other one was saying that they wanted the road a bit more wider. I mean, is there anything that could be done there within the budget? Do you know what I mean?
When you say, I mean, these, as Jeff pointed out before, these roads are historic. They were never designed to accommodate this number of vehicles.
No.
You know, if you look at the United States,
Yeah.
the sort of cities were designed around roads,
Yeah.
and you can see how wide those roads are.
Mhm.
But our roads were designed off horse and cart trails,
Yes.
so you know they're not fit for purpose. Essentially, what we're trying to do as a local authority is try to improve our public transportation infrastructure, and I'll get ridiculed for that.
Yeah.
But that's the way forward, really. Look, I've been to quite a few European cities. Their transportation infrastructure is really, really good, and ours can get to that as well. But we just need to invest in it, and it's how we fund that, or how that's funded centrally by government. You know, small steps, unfortunately, is the approach that we're taking. The metro in the city centre, you know, expanding those routes, and you've got, you know, there's you know, the Sprint bus service in and out of the city centre from Solihull, the bus corridors. That, you know, they've been done, but it takes something a little bit more substantial, you know, to do. It's not just that we need you know to invest heavily to improve the network, not just on arterial routes, but also and actually when we have an improved transportation infrastructure that's affordable, that's really the only way we're going to get people to encouraged to use it, because if it's more affordable and just as convenient to use those transportation network systems, then people will do that, and that's how it works in the European neighbours. You know, get around so easily there and cheaply as well.
As a counsellor, I can say I've had quite a few, like say Prince Albert School, Serpentine Road, Bragg Road, Mansfield Road. These roads have come to my attention because people have complained about it. But historically, do you have any roads that you're concerned about and you think that might need help? And do you have a list of complaints of any roads that you think that might need?
Nothing that sort of jumps out. You know, and obviously lots of roads. I've got lots of requests for various measures across all of the wards that I look after. Everyone's screaming for something, mostly traffic calming measures in these sorts of densely populated areas. You know, where residents don't have any off-street parking. You know, there's always requests for more on-street parking, and we just don't have any ability to do that. We've been asked, you know, can we look at, you know, implementing resident-owned parking schemes, but when the properties aren't sufficient enough to cater for that, you know, because, you know, each property generally needs to have a vehicle space in front of it
Mhm.
in order for it to work. And a lot of the properties.
Well, if they've got three cars in the
Well, that's the
That's
thing.
it,
You know, it's not going to solve the problem.
problem. Yeah.
You know.
The Raymond's goes.
It's really something that you said. Transportation is not necessarily the answer. Sprint buses are not dedicated for Aston. It's dedicated for people that live outside the area, like
I was giving an example.
Like a prestigious area, like for example, when the Commonwealth Games happened, all of these buses and transportation were dedicated for like Aston. It was dedicated for Perry Bar and Great Bar and things like that. To me, I know that I'm talking in dreams. The only way I would feel satisfied, since the material of the city council is more to do everything, I think Aston needs its own budget. I mean, and dedicate our what our future is within the area, because basically it seems like everything which is a good idea, it always seems to be transferred to the Perry Bars and the Walsall's and the whatnot. We need our own budget to say, right, this is for this and that's for that. And also, I think Pat nearly said it, we need to get out of our cars and see the pavements, the roads, and everything like that. We instead of just building around the car and whatnot, we gotta walk around the area and see what's going on. It's not necessarily what's going on, the traffic's moving and whatnot. It's the quality of the pavements. It's people parking their car on the pavements and you have to walk around or walk in the streets to go around it. It's things like that. So it's just basically when I hear sprints and things like that, that's not dedicated to us. It's more likely a nice walkway. Traffic being flowed through Witten Road properly without cars blocking the road, where you have number sevens knocking each other on the road. Things like that, but that's all I wanted to say on that.
No, I completely hear you, and I think I always go back to thinking how these things could come to fruition, and I think that one of the ways is to reduce the number of vehicles on the road, but how do we get people to change their mindset? It's a challenge because it's become so affordable for people to have cars. Like the council just said, some of these properties have 3 or 4 or 5. I know a property, I can tell you now, has got 7 cars associated with it, and you know, it's a lot. It's a lot of vehicles. And you see these, just all the areas are saturated with vehicles. You know, it's difficult to change people's mindsets, but the cost of having a car is going to become more and more. It's going to become less affordable in the future, and that's what generally I think is going to happen. You know, cost of road tax has gone up, these sorts of things. So measures are going to be put in place to sort of deter, move people away from that. But we need to be able to provide some form of transportation system for them to get around, because people need to move, whether it be by walking, cycling, whatever it is, catching a bus, you know, metro, whatever it is, they need to be able to do that. So we can't say you can't have cars anymore. You still need to get people around. It's important that they're able to do so and do that in an environmentally friendly way as well. You know, so I hear what you're saying, but we need to sort of try and look at the big picture and see how we can tackle that. And I
But
think
the bigger picture is not working. I really do think that basically we need to have our own finances in the area.
Yeah, well, when I say the big picture, look, it's almost like stepping back, seeing what the problem is, how we address that. And in order to address that, when you're looking at the big picture, it needs a lot of money thrown at it.
But
we don't have
when
that.
you said step away, not everybody's going to see the same vision as you or me.
Yeah.
It goes along the lines of
No,
put an express bus on Birchfield Road
We've got
Walsall.
to start somewhere and start, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I think we're starting
yeah.
now.
But I have to say, to me, it goes along the lines of you've got to dream of it to make it work, or I know that we have a little bit of money. I know that. I know that. But to me, it's not working. So far, it's not working. Whatever it is, it's not
And
working.
it's not going to be a quick thing, right? It's going to be a slow process. Unfortunately, it is. I mean, many years ago, I mean, we used to have a tram system running in and around the city, and it's something that we're doing. It seems like we're going the full circle because we're going back to electric trams.
Yeah.
So look at the space of time between that and now.
Now,
I'm not saying it's a quick thing. It's going to be a drawn out process.
We also have to look at it. Look how much people are living in a very small area as well.
The population is increasing, and it goes back to the central government issues. As I said before, we're here to talk about the ETS. We can talk all night about it.
And actually, I think,
You know.
have we got any more roads, junctions, spring up? Because
Yeah.
we're going to bring this to a close very soon.
The Victoria Road junction with opposite. That has, I mean, I remember this year, we had 5 accidents on the junction with the lights. There's street furniture and one person walked in off them.
are you on about Upper Sutton Street and Victoria Road
Yeah.
near the mosque?
I have
On opposite side, like going towards Barrington.
Yes, yeah.
That has, I've seen in this year so far, I've seen about 5 accidents with street furniture. Something needs to be done to slow the speed of the traffic that's coming from the
Yeah, I
expressway.
think, it's as well as Parkland. I think I was saying it from the Park Lane entrance. Well, yes, from Evington Road to crossover.
that's
Crossover.
There has been
Victoria
quite a
Road
few
onto
accidents.
I've seen
That's
3
always
traffic
been
lights
problematic.
and
Yeah,
a lot of furniture has been damaged. The people living there, the walls have been damaged.
Yeah.
That should be number 1.
that is a historic issue. It's been flagged to us for a number of years. It's a difficult one, and you've got to look at the problem as to why that's happening. And it's motorists not observing the traffic lights. It's as simple as that. And I think if they were to adhere to the red stop sign and the lights, we would get these accidents occurring. It's really as simple as that.
What about putting up if you go past the red lights you get a fine, something like that. So then at least, it'll be knowledge around there that we're gonna be careful about this road because they've got the what I mean. Is that not something that can be implemented? Yeah. Hey?
No, I think the best way for that, what I would say is, I've seen some areas where they've got, they're not speed humps, but they're like some kind of furniture they put where it reduces car speed where they have to slow down.
Are you
to
on-
get through.
Are you on about
What do you call it? I don't know.
Power-
Cushions.
power-
Yeah.
So it's almost like
Yeah.
half a speed bump.
Yeah. So it's like where you have to reduce your speed. I've seen many places, especially in London, because in London as well. At junctions,
Yeah.
it's made of like bricks and little one of those white yellow boxes, and you have to reduce your speed to get to, otherwise you're just going to smack the
I mean, where you got like a little island in the middle. Like
is it like a power, when you give way, like you give priority to the other upcoming traffic?
Well, I don't know. I think that would potentially cause.
No, I don't think it's priority.
No.
I'm not
I
looking if I
don't
can.
think it's that. I think it's
It's
probably.
I don't think that would work.
You can drive flat,
I think what could work there
like
is
nursery road.
is a raised table at a junction. We do see them, and that's essentially what that is. It's like a hump, and it's like a large platform area. So it slows the vehicles down, and once they cross this junction, then they go down the hump again and carry on. But that
How would that be for lorries? Because that Victoria Road is used for lorries.
they could negate over that as well.
Okay.
They'd have to obviously slow down as well. But the issue is when you have signals at a junction and the lights are green, they're gonna need to slow down, and it's gonna affect the flow of traffic.
Yeah.
So you tend to see those on junctions that aren't signalised. So I don't know. I don't think that would work that well here, knowing the sort of driver behaviour in and around this junction. But having cameras, that's something that we don't as a local authority to do anymore, just because of funding. I think the police have the powers, as I said before, for these sorts of offences, which are movement offences. And there's a separate pot of monies that the police may have access to, but if we could maybe engage with them to see if there's a possibility that we could, and I know that gentleman there saying,
The average speed camera.
average speed cameras work well, and you know, again, it's there's another part of money, and my colleagues in the transportation connectivity team, they're looking to roll. They've already rolled out a number of average speed cameras along across the city as a trial period. But now they've been bedded in, and they've been proved quite successful. We're looking to extend the ones on Coventry Road further in, potentially, and along the sort of small bypass, because that's quite a,
Yeah, it's only on bypass of
You need
sea.
to look at it. You need to get-
That definitely needs to be looked at, because that is a dangerous one.
we
So
can-
far, no fatalities have happened, but
I mean, generally, the average speed cameras work quite well on corridors, good lengths of roads, and Victoria Road could be considered as one, but it's, if they're turning left off there, you know, they'll still speed and it won't catch those people. It needs to work along a route, doesn't it, you know, for them to be able to work out the average speed.
I'm sure there's many information, but again, you probably need a few meetings with your colleagues and stuff. There is any solution to that.
Yeah, I think it does need looking at.
It's obviously, it's costing, you know, every time you repair the furniture,
Yeah,
the traffic lights,
it does
it's
need,
costing money, you know.
it does need looking at, I think, but at the same time, it's a very difficult one for us to solve, because there are, you know, the signals are there, you know, to control the traffic, but people aren't adhering to that. Then obviously, you know, incidents can and do occur.
I think we'll call it to a close there. I think that's been a really productive meeting. I hope you found it useful. And so thank you very much again to Imran for coming.
Just one more thing, sorry, Jennifer. I'm going to go back and I'm going to think, why did I not ask this question? In terms of Aston and Newtown, I know that Park Lane Road is an issue. I mean, will I be nosy to ask whether the other councillors mentioned anything about Park Lane?
No.
Do you know which one I'm on about, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, the Newtown residents have had their meeting to talk about what the small and pot of money that they've got. And I think that they're looking more at Wheeler Street and kind of where the Nish Town Centre is.
That's what we mentioned.
Park Lane hasn't at this particular junction, but you know, in that ward's got only half of what we've got, and residents have raised their
Okay,
concerns.
all right.
But it's not to say that can't be in terms of future programs, but
Okay,
that's
all
what
right.
it is for them.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Jennifer.
Okay. Thank you everybody for giving it your Friday evening. Much appreciated. And yes, so it will be a while. It will be the spring, most likely, that there will be a response. So and I think it probably makes sense to have a ward meeting around the time of the budget as well, so that can be explained to
So when is that going to be around the budget?
So around March. So the budget meeting tends to be the very, very end of February. So almost like the last day of February. I think it's sensible to have a meeting after that, so that can also be explained to residents what happened at that meeting.
So the decision hasn't been made yet?
Which decision, sorry?
With where the money is going on?
No. So the Birmingham Labour Administration, of course, who run the council at the moment, will be speaking to the finance people to look at the budget. And what we do know, I think it's fair to say, it's going to be a tough one again. We're expecting council tax to be at 10% again this year, from what we've heard. That comes to full council. We, as Liberal Democrats, will put in an amendment, because we always do. So will the Conservatives, so will the Greens. So we tend to put in alternative ideas. Generally, we get voted out, you know, historically speaking.
Well,
that's the way it
goes.
yeah, that's politics. But you know, we will speak at that. You'll be able to see that online or join by coming in person, so you can see I think it's an interesting meeting actually, because, you know, that's where all the numbers get
Yeah, I
discussed.
watched it
Yeah.
Tuesday this week.
Oh, yeah, yes, yeah. So, and then after that, but, you know, after that meeting, we will then know what the budget's going to look like, what, you know, what the city intends to do at that macro level. And we can, and it's difficult for us, you know, it's complicated, but we will bring that to the meeting as well and try and describe some of that as well. Okay. And then, yes, and this, so I think that will be interesting. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a pleasant weekend.
Thank you
And
as
mind the storm,
For
because
tomorrow.
it's coming, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
So, those proposals.